Hey guys, this is my new channel. Um, Forgive me, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I wanted to share some encouragement for the year 2026. Some hope that it could be that this is the year that we get out of here. And what I believe, what I think is that the rapture being on the Passover would be very um like a pattern. It's like a pattern. The Passover, and I want to read to you some stuff. First of all, let me fix my camera here. So first of all, in Strong's Concordance, in the Essene calendar in 2026 and I'll show you here, Dead Sea Scrolls, we're in the year 5950 right now in 2025, right? And in 2026 will be the year 5951. So in 50 years on the Essene calendar will be the year 6000, which many people believe the Essene calendar to be the legitimate calendar for the year that we're in. So it lines up that March 31st on the Essene calendar is Passover of 2026, and it also is the first month of the new 50-year cycle, which every 50 years is a jubilee. So there's only 50 years left until the year 6000, which is what we believe the 1,000-year reign will start at. So in the very first month of this last 50 years is the Passover, and the year is 5951. And in Strong's Lexicon, this means exaltation or rejoicing. So, this is 2026 Passover is the very first month of the last 50 years before the 6,000 year mark. Also, Psalm 126, the songs, there's many Psalms of Ascent starting in Psalm 120, which many people believe that lines up with the years. So Psalm 120 would be the year 2020, for instance, when we had COVID hit and they started testing the very beginning of the end of the world, or the end of this age, and when evil reigns at the right before the Jesus returns. So anyway, Psalm 126 would be the year 2026, right? So what it says is, when the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dreamed. Hold on, let me go to King James Version, because I think it's the best translation for what I want to share with you. When the Lord turned again the captivity of Zion. This is when the 7 years of the tribulation happen, is the captivity of Zion. If you didn't know, that's Jacob's trouble, is when Zion, or Israel, is turned back under the captivity of the Lord. So if this is the year 2026, this is talking about the captivity of Zion. We were like them in a dream. Then was our mouth filled with laughter, and our tongue was singing. Then said they among the heathen, the Lord hath done great things for them. Talking about Israel. The Lord hath done great things for us, whereof we are glad. Turn again our captivity, O Lord, as in the streams in the south. So tears shall reap in joy. Possibly talking about the saints who have sown the gospel He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seeds, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. So, are we going to be taken up in the same year that the Lord turns the captivity of Zion again and turns to Jacob's trouble? Turns his attention back to Jacob and Israel? Possibly. So this is Psalm 133, when if it would be 7 years from that date, it would be 2033, the Song of Ascent of David. How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. It is like precious oil poured on the head, running down on the beard, running down on Aaron's beard, down on the color of his robe. It says that it is as if the dew of Hermon were falling out of Mount Zion, for there the Lord bestows his blessing, even life forevermore. So, let's go to King James Version. How good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. So in the year 2033, when Jesus returns, then we would all be dwelling together in unity, correct? And then Psalm 134 is the last Song of Ascension. It says, Behold, bless ye the Lord, all you servants of the Lord, which by night stand in the house of the Lord. Lift up your hands in the sanctuary, and bless the Lord that made heaven and earth, bless thee out of Zion. So this would be the very last ending after that the 7 years were up of Jacob's trouble, of the tribulation. So, also, this is another one pointing to how it kind of aligns with the years that we've been going through. In 2023, in October 7th, was when Israel was attacked by Hamas, or attacked by the Gaza Hamas, right? Terrorists, and they said they were coming as a flood. Song of Ascent. So this would have been the very year after, a few months after that happened in 2024. If it had not been the Lord who is on our side, now may Israel say, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side when men rose up against us, then they had swallowed us up quick when their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters, they called it a flood themselves, the terrorists, had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul. Blessed be the Lord who hath not given us as a prey to their teeth. Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we are escaped. Remember when Israel had attacked on all sides by terrorists? They were sending missiles and just being attacked and attacked. Our hope is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth. This lines up with the year 2024. So that's why I'm thinking that these Song of Ascents line up with these years. My computer keeps going black screen. Okay. So, Exodus 12:39 through 41, talking about the rapture, okay? Not the rapture. Well, this is basically a rapture in the Passover. This is after the Lord, they had to take lentil and dip it in lamb's blood that they sacrificed and do it over both sides of their door frame and the top of their door frame with the lamb's blood. And whoever had that, the Lord would pass over. But anybody who didn't, the angel of the Lord would come through and kill their firstborn child. And there was not death in any house save the ones that were covered by the lamb's blood. And so what I wanted to say was this verse is talking about Exodus chapter 12 is all about that plague. Exodus 12:39 through 41. And they baked the unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt. This is the same night, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. They were thrust out of Egypt. Is this a prophetic pattern? Are we going to be thrust out of this world as Israel was thrust out of Egypt? Egypt being a shadow of this world and the enemy, and us being thrust out. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. They had to be underneath. They had to be enslaved by Egypt, or punished for 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the same self day, it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord went out of the land of Egypt. And this is right after the Passover. All the hosts of the Lord went out of the land on the same self day. So is this a pattern to be looked at as seeing that seeing that the Songs of Ascent point to the years that we're in, and the Passover when Israel was thrust out of Egypt? Are we going to be thrust out of this world in 2026 on the Passover? And a lot of people think that the Passover was on April 3rd, 33 AD, which isn't that just a nice number for the Lord on a special day? 3 threes, April 3rd, 33 AD. I like that number, and that would line up with this year as well, because it's 7 years before the year 2033. Now, you're asking yourself, okay, if you're thinking of the Essene calendar as 50 years until the year 6000, when Jesus comes back, he could snap his fingers and he could be reigning in the temple for 1,000 years immediately, but he could also come back, deal with all the people, start assigning them roles, and having the people build things up for the next 50 years until the year 6000, when the temple would be built over the course of about 50 years, starting when he returns in 2033. This is my theory. And then over the course of the next 47 years is the time when Jesus and his people are building, because he's still having to deal with people on earth at this point. Not everybody is in glorified bodies at this point, because there's still the remnant. So he might be giving them the opportunity to build the temple for him. And because the New Jerusalem doesn't come until the end of the 1,000 years. So this is a temple that's not New Jerusalem for the 1,000-year reign. New Jerusalem comes after the 1,000-year reign. So what I'm saying is, after Jesus's return in 2033, if the 6,000-year mark starts in 2075, we could have that gap between 2033 and 2075, building the temple and setting up Israel and defeating all the enemies and setting up the world for Jesus's reign between that year gap. And it could be that Jesus likes to relate with us, and he might not just snap his fingers and be reigning immediately after he returns. He might let his kingdom be set up and be teaching us and showing us the way before he starts the millennial kingdom. So what I'm saying is Passover 2026, which is April 2nd through the 9th, could possibly be a rapture date, and when they bring back the captivity of Zion. And another reason is because Israel is 77 years old. Until May 14th, Israel is 77 years old, which is when Jacob married his first wife, Leah, and then 7 years later, he married his wife that he wanted, Rachel. And it's also the time when he was 84 when he married his second wife, which could relate to Israel. So I hope I'm not confusing you guys. I'm just bringing up stuff that a lot of you guys already know watching this, that are watching. So, also, Jesus was first spotted by, who was it, Anna in the temple when she was 84 years old. She saw Jesus and she had been waiting to see him. And when she saw him, she was 84. So that could also be, so both Jacob married his wife that he wanted when he was 84, and also Anna saw Jesus for the first time as a baby when she was 84, and she'd been waiting for a long time. And also the lifespan of Israel, of the average Israeli or Jew, is, well, I wouldn't say Jew. The average Israeli lifespan is 84 years old right now, or 83.75. So basically 84 years old if you round up that 0.25%. And also Jesus said there would be one generation. One generation shall not die before all these things pass. So a generation would be 84 years old. All lining up with 2033 being Jesus' second return, second coming. So that's a ton of things lining up with 2026 Rapture. 2026 Passover. Rapture. That's a lot of things. That's a lot of things, guys. And I hope this encourages you. I hope I wasn't too confusing. I can make some more videos where I have things actually organized a little better, but I wanted to get this out there. And I hope it encourages you. And if it's not this Passover 2026, guys, because we have Jesus living inside of us. The kingdom is inside of us. Jesus is inside of us. All we need is Jesus, guys. For to live is Christ, but to die is gain. So whether we die or we live, we have Christ in us, or we go to see Christ, Jesus, the one that truly matters. And he died for our sins. And put your faith in him and believe that God raised him on the third day, and confess with your mouth that he is Lord, you will be saved. That's Romans 10:9. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.